Hi guys, Ariel with Ariel Paints. Today I'm going to show you the Craft & Go paint station and how I use it and how I've configured the inside of my Craft & Go and why I do certain things. There are a few other videos of my Craft & Go on this channel as well if you'd like to check them out, but today I'm going to show you the evolution of now how I use my Craft & Go, as well as mention a few things that I can't fit in my Craft & Go and why I bring a backpack along with me to events. But over the years of using this case, I have tweaked it and changed things. I set it up the first time, didn't like something, and rearranged it. So it's really versatile. I really like using it, and today I'm going to show you what I'm pretty sure I've settled on as far as the configuration of my Craft & Go and how it'll be set up for a very long time. I do really like the Craft & Go. I think it's a great case. I've had mine for well over a year, maybe 2 years now, and it's in wonderful shape. I've never had any issues with the legs or handles or the case itself, so really happy with it. Definitely think it's one of the best things that I've ever purchased as a face painter, and I would not do as many events as I do or birthday parties as I do if I did not have this case. So this is not a sponsored video either, just so you know. I just really like this product, and I think it saved me as a face painter, especially early on when the thing that gave me the most headaches were setting up and breaking down were so hard for me and just really taxing. And it's the thing I disliked the most about being a face painter. And this case has completely changed that. So I'm going to show you the inside of my case, how I set it up, and what I do at an event to get ready, and then how I break it down as well, and all the things I have in my case. So stay tuned. If you're thinking about getting a Craft & Go, or if you're thinking about being a face painter, you'll learn a lot about what you need to do that. So keep watching and I'll show you my Craft & Go. Here's the Craft & Go sitting on a table. It's really easy to take to birthday parties, and if it's an event where you don't necessarily need the legs underneath here, you can just set it on a table of any kind and it stays flat, and that's really nice because so many birthday parties, they already have a table set up for me or a spot they want me to be in, and I can just put this case right on top of the table. It's not going to scratch anything or hurt anything, and then I can open it up and paint just from the case on whatever surface that I want to paint on. However, if you tip the Craft & Go up, it does have telescopic legs underneath it. So these just pull out. There's a little latch that you pop, and then you can change the height to whatever height you want it to be. The height with the legs not extended is perfect for sitting if you're a painter that likes to sit and paint. I like to stand, and I find that these fully extended are perfect height for me to stand and paint. I'm about 5'4", so it works really well for me. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up standing and then show you what it looks like inside. Okay, so here is the Craft & Go set up, and it has 2 latches to keep the lid tight and closed, and it also has a set of keys. So if you want to lock these, if you have anything, if you put money or something in here at an event, you can lock it. I honestly have never locked it. I've never really needed to or found a reason to lock it, but the latches are really nice. They just pop open very easily. I do have this now with the legs fully extended, and you just pull the lid of the Craft & Go up and you are ready to start painting. So once the lid is extended, you have got surface area. Now what I usually do is always pack it with some towels. Any negative space in here, if I am dragging and pulling this, which it does have wheels and a handle, so you can pull it over cement, grass, whatever you want. I find that if I'm going over grass or bumpy rocks or whatever it may be, that my split cakes and rainbow cakes, even though they are magnetized up here, tend to shake and fall off. If I pack this tightly with a few towels when I get to an event and I've gone over gravel or whatever it is, nothing falls off. So I always pack it with a few black towels that I then fling over my chair, and I use them during my event anyway. So it's a win-win. Now, I do have all of my splits and rainbow cakes magnetized. These are the rare earth magnets. They're the tiny ones. I use those, but I also use these black ceramic magnets on a lot of my splits and rainbow cakes. They're cheap and they're really, really strong. So I like those. I also use super glue to adhere my magnets. I always keep a few extra magnets tucked in the corner of my Craft and Go over here. So this is what my case looks like. You can see I have some chunky glitter over here in the corner, gold and silver, that I use the most at events. I have my confetti cakes that I like to use, homemade splits. This little pinwheel is for double dipped flowers so that I'm not double dipping into my regular potted paint as much. And then this changes constantly, quite honestly. I try to configure it with room around the cakes so that I can actually reach in and grab them, because if you pack them really, really tightly, it's really hard to get to them. And I try to do kind of a Roy G. Biv, like keep some of the girly ones and then the boy ones, rainbows together. But this is honestly after I've just organized it. If I'm at an event, this changes so quickly and it's kind of a mess. So this is the organized version of it. Now here I have from Craft and Go the foam that they sell for brushes, and so far this has worked the best for me. I really like having these in here and organized. You can fit really large brushes in them and smaller ones. Now I've had this for a while and it hasn't split from the front. I have thought about putting some kind of facing here to keep it for even longer, because I imagine someday, you know, I'm going to rip a brush out of here too quickly and I'm going to pull it and rip the front. But I have to say, so far, it's been fine. I have a ton of brushes and I keep them organized from larger flat brushes to my smaller flat brushes, filberts. All of my petal brushes are in one group, and then larger rounds, medium rounds, and then my liner brushes. And I'm able to keep them pretty organized in here. And then when I get to an event, of course, I'll show you what I do with my brushes. But so when I get to an event, the first thing I do is I have a transparency sheet over my repotted paint. The reason for this is because once I've been using my paint all day, when I go to pack up, usually something's wet enough in here that it's going to drip. If I put the transparency sheet over it, then instead of it dripping all over a rainbow cake or all down my trays here, it's going to drip onto my transparency sheet, and then I can wash my transparency sheet. Also, since these paints are repotted paints, sometimes there's chunks or little things that fall off. So instead of them falling off all over my case, they fall into my transparency sheet. So I leave that over my repotted paint. When I get to an event, I take that and place it right underneath so that I have it later. Now my splits and my paint are of varying degrees of different kinds of paint. As long as you're using high quality face paint, you're gonna have good coverage and nice bright colors. I was asked recently what kind of face paints I use, and the answer to that is I use a little bit of everything. I love Diamond Effects. It's by far one of my favorite kinds of paint, but I have Crivellin in here. I have Wolf, Silly Farm, Tag, Superstar, I believe it's called. I mean, you name it, I use it. As long as it is high quality professional face paint, I've used it. There's very little paint that I can say I don't like. And I've never run into a brand that I'm not particularly happy with. My splits are also a mix of Diamond Effects. I have a lot of Silly Farm splits. Let's see, Leanne's Rainbow here. A few homemade splits as well, but not that many. I did start doming, and you can see, doming my One Strokes and rainbow cakes, which I absolutely love doing. There's a video on this channel as well as to how I did that and why I started doing it. And I've been doing it for maybe a month or two now, and I love it. I am saving so much paint, and it's awesome. So I recommend checking that out. I have a kabuki brush here, and everything is on magnets because it just makes your life so much easier. So this is what I use for blush for little girls. I have my black and white split cake here that I use for line work. I hold this a lot when I'm painting and doing line work. So when I get to an event, the first thing that I do is open this up, and then I pull this tray up, and I have on this tray some Q-tips and some bobby pins. Bobby pins obviously to hold kids' hair back. Q-tips for my chunky glitter, any mistakes, or if I want to use them for lipstick for some reason, I have them there. And then I have this little extra mirror with me. Now I also have a mirror on the back of my sign that I use for the kids when I'm at events, but it's great to have an extra mirror, and if I'm doing a birthday party or if I'm not bringing that sign with me, I always have this mirror in my kit. I also have a little hook, just an adhesive hook on the other side of my Craft and Go that I placed there so that I can hang this on the side of my kit if I'd like. Most of the time it just lives on the outside and I leave it there. Now on the opposite side of this tray are my main StarBlends colors, which I love using, and this is how I keep all of my StarBlends. I keep them on this tray, and then I just flip this over to this side and place it on the far side of my Craft and Go. So all my StarBlends live here on this wall that I've created, and I'll show you a better picture. So I've created this extra wall and surface area on my Craft and Go. Now my bobby pins and my Q-tips are on the opposite side of this wall that I use during my event. So I've created 2 extra surface areas for myself, which is brilliant. And whoever showed me how to do this, I think on one of the forums, thank you very much, because I was really struggling with where to put my StarBlends, and this saved me. So I do have 2 strong magnets down here that I've super glued to the hinge so that this isn't as wobbly, but you also just kind of want to shove it in there, and it will stay pretty well. I've never had it fall down actually, so I think it's great. So that's where I use my StarBlends. I do always keep my StarBlends covered. The rest of my paint I do not keep covered. If I had to take all of these off, all those lids off at an event and put them back on, that's the bane of my existence. That's why I got a Craft and Go. I don't want to do that. However, with StarBlends being so powdery and there's so much fallout and the chances of them breaking, I keep the lids on. And there's so few of them that it's not that big of a deal, so it doesn't bother me. Usually at most events, I might take 2 or 3 lids off, knowing that I'm going to do a lot of tigers or whatever it may be. But I'm only doing it once, and it's not that big of a deal. Now, I do have some repotted StarBlends as well that lately I've not been keeping in my kit. A couple custom colors, actually, that I made, but I did not press them down hard enough, so they have broken. And I've got about 2 or 3 custom colors, maybe even 4 that I made that I really like, but I need to find a way to press them down firmer because they continue to fall back apart. I am not a huge fan of doing this. I would rather just mix them in the pots and create the colors, because so far I haven't been too successful with sifting and repotting them. So hopefully you have been if you've tried this. No luck for me, but oh well. So moving on. Okay, so in this side of my Craft and Go, once I remove my StarBlends tray, I have a few pouches. This one is filled with my smoothie blenders and my daubers, my lipstick brushes, and my small finger daubers. And this gets Velcroed right to the outside of my Craft and Go. And I did add this adhesive Velcro to it. And this is where this lives during an event, and I can really easily grab my smoothie blenders. I also have my stencils, and I have a lot of stencils, and I don't use that many during events really, really just a handful. So I have my most popular stencils here on a separate little chain so that I can pull those out and have them with me. Now this, because every now and then I do, you know, someone requests a design or they ask for something and I think, oh, if I just had that stencil out, it would be perfect. So I do keep these handy. I Velcro these right underneath the handle with a little piece of adhesive Velcro. Okay, so I pull my squirt bottle out, and it has a magnet on the bottom as well. It's always living in this drawer, and I usually put it right about there, and it's just enough magnetized surface area to not fall over. And then in this pouch I have the glitter I use the most. At the very least, at an event, I'm going to pull out my like white or silver holographic and gold. Typically that's all I'm going to use at an event with a lot of kids or a lot of people. I also have these large rare earth magnets on the bottom of these. These are crazy strong. I just got these. They're amazing. I super glued them on there, and it is like, ugh, so strong it's almost too much. But I like them very much, and I think I'm going to start using them for my larger rainbow cakes when I need to replenish them. Let's see if you can see I have those big, they're kind of thick. The ceramic, I think they're like ceramic. They almost feel ceramic. I could be wrong though. So those other magnets I showed you guys are kind of thick, and sometimes I think they're going to make my rainbow cakes stick out too much on this, but they don't at all, and they're really inexpensive, so I like them. I'll put a link to them below, and to the larger rare earth magnets I found as well, because next time I need a magnet for a split, I am going to try one of these because they're so powerful and so strong that I think one of these would suffice for an entire rainbow cake, which would be pretty awesome. So typically I'm going to put my my squirt bottle and my two glitters I'm going to use the most here. If I think I'm going to be using chunky glitter on adults or teenagers, I will pull out my Ben Nye glitter glue and keep that there as well. And then besides that, I put this away. I do have my Ben Nye gold powder in here that's amazing, an extra glitter that's silver, and then my stage blood, a pen, some chapstick, just some kind of odds and ends in here. But I typically don't need all of that. So this pouch usually then goes in the chair that I has a few large pouches, and it's just easy for me to plop it in there if I need any of these extra things during my event. They're really, really handy, and if I don't, then I just put them back at the end. Okay, so the other thing that I have is this little container that's just from Target. It's actually a drawer organizer, probably for silverware or something, but I found it and really wanted to use it for something specific. My stencils, they don't live here. I need someplace to put them, right? So I covered this in magnets, and what I typically do is pull my StarBlends over and I put this here on the corner. Not only does this help keep my new surface area stable, but it gives me a place to put things. As I start using the stencils, say I pull this one, you know, my reptile or my my turtle mask one off of this chain, and I think, well, I'm probably going to do, you know, another 50 turtles, because once one kid asks for a Ninja Turtle mask, you end up doing 100, right? It's pretty typical. So once I get it dirty and used, I need some place to put it, and I don't like having my kit muddled with them all over the place, so I stick them here. I also can stick things like sponges and daubers here. I try not to reuse sponges when at events, so I do that less, but this is a great place to put stencils and be able to, you know, go through them really quickly. And typically I would take all of these off because there are the stencils for my most popular designs, so I know I'm going to use them. So things like my Superman dots, my mermaid, my reptile, stuff like that. And then I put them in here, and it's easier for me to grab them that way. And I just really personally like having a container to put stuff in. I don't know if it's maybe like a weird comfort thing, but I just like it. Okay, so now on this side, what I do is I take one of those towels that I had packed my kit with, and I place it in here because this is where my water is going to go. So I want to make sure there's something absorbent at the bottom if there is an accident. I love using my rinse well because it's clean water right there. When I need clean water, I have it. Now, I don't need a ton of water at events because I'm using so many splits and rainbow cakes that, I mean, I can fill this up a quarter of the way, my sprayer, and this is mainly what I'm going to use. I also don't wash out my brushes. I have designated black and white brushes that stay black and white, and I don't typically clean them out completely. But I love having my rinse well. I tuck that into the corner and I fill that up. It's great. It is dirty. I have scrubbed this and it will not come clean because I use it so much, but it is clean. I love this. It's great to have clean water when I really, really, really need it. And then recently, I have started using this little guy, which I got from the face painting shop. I love it for a few reasons. One, it has the textured bottom, so if I'm trying to rinse something out quickly, it can really agitate my brush and gets that paint loose and clean. Also, I don't fill this up to the top. I actually put a little water in each well, so I have 3 different wells of paint. So when this is down, I have clean water and then 3 separate areas of clean water. I love it. This is all I use. The other thing I like about this is that it has the holes so that I can hold my brushes. Prior to this setup, and the rinse well also has a few holes in the side here to hold brushes. Previously to this, I was setting up a separate brush holder for my wet, dirty brushes during events, and it just took me longer. Now I have this, it's my water container and my brush holder, and it's all I need. So you can, the bigger ones just barely fit the in here, but it totally works. And then there's holes in the rinse well as well. So like I mentioned, the first brush I use for black typically stays my black. I personally keep my black and my white liner brush on this side of my rinse well, and it's there all along. The first time that I use this brush for the traditional rainbow, this is now my traditional rainbow brush. I'm not rinsing it out in here and reloading every time. I'm just getting a little bit more water to reload my paint, so I'm not making it that dirty. So you don't have to clean out your water as much either. So there you go. That's what I do. Now, I have 2 areas here that usually end up cluttered with a few stencils. You know, these end up kind of going all over the place. But since these are on magnets too, if I drop these onto the towel, they're still gonna stay. You can't really knock them over that easily because they're magnetized, which is really, really great. Before I was using this setup, or if I'm going to an event that I think for some reason I'm not going to be painting that many kids, or I don't need that much water, or I really don't want to bring my backpack for some reason, then I use a collapsible dog bowl. And this is a double-sided one. I have drilled holes in the center so that there's a few spots for my brushes to sit when I need to keep my brushes. And this fits in here really, really well. And because it is collapsible, I can put this on any of my surface areas before I close my case, and it can come with me. However, I'm usually doing pretty high volume events, so when I was just taking this with me, I would end up dumping this out and reloading it with fresh water at least 2 or 3 times during an event. Since I've started to use this setup and my rinse well, I probably rinse out maybe once and have never had to reload water twice. So I'm really enjoying this setup that I have recently changed to. Now the other thing that I do is set up my sponges. So I have a pretty large bag of sponges, all different shapes and sizes, and this is just a laundry bag. And I've got some clips in here that I bring with me. That one's kind of a big one. Usually I've got a few small ones. I don't know where this giant one came from. Let's get rid of that. So you just need a few small clips and then a extra laundry bag for your dirty sponges and your trash. If you can find all black, I encourage you to do that because white gets kind of dirty, and I've cleaned this a few times, but face paint can stain, so I encourage you to get black. Typically what I'll do is put my clean sponge bag right about there, where, lower that so you can see, right in front of my repotted paint so that I can get to my sponges really, really easily and grab out what I need. So my dirty sponge bag will usually get clipped over here by my rinse well and by my water, and then as I'm using sponges, I can throw them in here. A lot of times, admittedly, my dirty sponges end up kind of piled here, and then when I have a break, I take them and I throw them in here. And I do try to use a new sponge for every kid. That's really hard in the beginning when you're just starting out, but it is more sanitary, so definitely try to do that. Now, I cannot fit my sponge bag or these water containers in the Craft and Go. So I usually always have a backpack, which is no big deal. It's a backpack. I sling it over my back. You know, I'm always wanting to have a bottle of water or granola bar or something with me anyways. So to throw these in a backpack for me is not a big deal. It does not bother me at all. What I'm saving in time and space within the Craft and Go makes up for any kind of backpack I need. So no big deal. Now I'm going to show you lastly what is in this other well that I have. And I will have to take my sponges off to show you that. So it's very rare that I'm going to go in here while I'm painting. I'll know usually ahead of time that I'm going to use something from here, but I do want to show you what is in this well. These repotted paints too, I want to mention, are also on magnets. So I've just glued a few magnets to the bottom of my repotted paint so that this stays. So if I do have to lift this up during an event, it doesn't fly off. It stays pretty well. So what I have in here are a couple of little push lights. I rarely do events at night, but if I am, you know, doing something and it's starting to get dark, I can put these on. They just clip. They are super cheap, like dollar store lights. They just clip on the top there and I can point it where I need it to go. So I have those just in case. During this time of year, I usually have some special effects stuff in here. I've got some glue in case I need to do detail over someone's eyebrows. I have my liquid latex, some zombie skin, a palette knife to use both of those things. I've got petroleum jelly, which I usually will pull out if I know I'm going to be doing chunky glitter at an event. I use petroleum jelly on smaller kids that want chunky glitter, and then I use Ben Nye glitter glue on older kids, teenagers, and adults because this really adheres well and I don't want it to be hard for parents to get it off later. So that's typically in here, and like I said, I'll pull it out if I need to. I do not use gems at events. I use them at birthday parties, but not festivals at all. I probably will someday, but it's just never been my thing, and I'm just not that into it. I love painting, I love glitter. I'm not a huge gem person. However, I have this really small gem kit in case I feel like I need it. There's some extra glue in there. Some of these are self-adhesive, and then some are just loose gems. So I have that in here. I have some cotton pads, which are really extra for my glitter tattoos, but I just keep them in there because I get paranoid that I'm going to run out, and I had room. I also have this tiny little first aid kit with a hair tie. I always need a hair tie because it's always super hot. There's some scissors in here, some Excedrin, Band-Aids, and some extra Q-tips. So that is handy, and I like to know that I have that kind of stuff in case a little kid hurts themselves. Close by to me also, I have makeup wipes. I use baby wipes to clean off designs on people's arms, or, you know, if a kid smears something, I will use them. However, I am a firm believer in having makeup wipes. If you really have to remove an entire design from a kid's face, makeup wipes are meant to be used on the face. I feel more comfortable using a makeup wipe to do that than a baby wipe. It's just a personal thing, but you do whatever you want. I like to have them in here. But, and I forgot to mention this, I also have my baby wipes attached to the side of my kit. These never go anywhere. They just clip right on the side. It's actually a... Okay, so it's just a little pouch that actually has a little ribbon and a snap to it, which I found forever ago. So that's what I have on the handle of my Craft & Go, and then I just refill this for all of my events, and they never go anywhere. I always have my wet wipes with me, but I have those makeup wipes just in case I feel like I really need them. The other thing I have tucked in this little well are my fun chunky glitters, which I love. I have a ton from the Gypsy Shrine, which makes these amazing, cool glitters. I don't know if you can see that. This one's really awesome. It's called Multimix, and it's bananas cool. So I have all of these chunky glitters just kind of hidden down here that I will pull out if I'm not that busy. I love using them, but if I'm painting 100 people and I have a crazy line, I don't show people these. I just keep them hidden. I love pulling them out for birthday parties or for custom makeup that I'm doing, and I like having them handy and accessible to me, but I do not need them out during an event. So that's the stuff hidden down here. I have plenty of room for more things. If I was doing a birthday party and I didn't feel like I needed all of these sponges, I could certainly put a pouch down here filled with sponges and get away with not needing a backpack and do my little dog bowl for water, and I would not need to carry an extra bag. Typically I'm carrying something extra anyways, so you know, it's not a big deal, and for an event I need all these sponges. I can't get away with not having them. So plenty of room in here, and I just take out what I need from that well if I need something, and if I don't, I just plop that right back on top, and there it is. So there's the inside of my kit. I hope this was helpful. Now, to unpack everything at an event, what I would typically do is just, you know, dump this out and throw these back into my backpack. I would grab my pouch that my glitter was in first, and then grab all that stuff. Oh, don't want to forget my glitter glue. Usually I'm going to take my towel and all of my dirty brushes. If I have time, I'll rinse and clean my brushes. All of the dirty brushes, if I'm trying to get out of an event quickly, go into a towel. I start putting all my stuff away. This is so fast and easy when you're trying to get out of someplace and kids are still begging you to paint. You can so quickly just wrap everything up and be like, I'm done, gotta go. So all my brushes that are dirty and I didn't have time to clean them get wrapped in a towel. They either go in my chair pouch, or what I'll do, since I have to clean all of these sponges that I used in my dirty sponge bag, what I'll do a lot of times is I'll just shove the wrapped dirty brushes right in here. And then when I get home, this is the bag I go to first because it's what I need to clean immediately. All my sponges, all of my brushes, anything else that I got dirty. So typically that's what I'll do. It usually will end up in my backpack, or I'll carry it separately because I want to make sure I get all of that stuff clean, as well as my stencils, which some of them are kind of dirty, so sorry. Those get thrown in there as well so that I make sure to clean them when I get home. Now this goes in the pouch of my chair, so I usually throw that in there. And then I put my transparency sheet back over my repotted paint, so if anything is very, very wet, it does not end up getting all over my kit and making it muddy. I slide my StarBlends back in place. I grab the shelf, and then I put it right back into place. And that's it. You want to make sure these are popped out when you close this, but that's it. You're done. Then you just shut your kit, clip the little clips down, and maybe some people do lock theirs, but mine have never popped open. So usually I just, make sure that it's nice and clipped tightly, and then I roll the legs back in. And then I'm off and I go. So really, really easy. And I really, really like it. Okay, so that's my current craft and go setup. Please let me know what questions you have. If you guys want me to go over specific paint that I use, brushes, anything you want to see that I didn't cover. I tried to be pretty thorough, and I think it kind of shows for itself. It's so organized and so clean, makes my life so much easier. I love it. So I hope this video helps. Please, as always, ask me questions down below and let me know what I can help you guys with or what you want to see next. Thanks for watching.